Dante.
And hey, I'm Dana.
And welcome to the Dontá Show. What's up, village? What up, village? What up, village? It is what Taco Tuesday with the Dontá Show. It is Tuesday night. We gonna make it happen on tonight. Y'all see me, I'm solo bolo, but I got a special surprise guest host that's gonna fill in for Dana Dane on tonight. So it's gonna be somebody that y'all already know and love and gonna bring the heat, bring the fire, and take us through this Black history experience like none other. So I'm excited about tonight's co-host, and we gonna make it happen. We gonna make it happen. So as you gather on in, as you gather up into the building, and come on, village, let's get up in here. Let's get it popping. What's up, Ryan? What's up, Ryan? Ryan, I'm sorry I keep missing your phone calls and your messages and your pop-ups, but we gonna make it happen this week, okay? Love you, Ryan. Love you, Ryan. Love you, Ryan. So what's up, everybody? Go ahead and invite your friends, your family, your cousins, your loved ones, all up into the Dontá Show. Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen. Be part of the Thai squad. Shout out the Thai squad. Be part of the village. Shout out the village. All right. So listen. Let's make this happen, y'all. So listen, we talk about being Black. We talk about the Black experience. We talk about every single thing that Black people have gone through, overcome, triumphed over. But have we ever done a deep dive to see how you would have responded to certain situations? What would have been your response? You know, we're in 2021 and we have a level of privilege, albeit we are still slaves in certain areas of America. We still have a level of privilege. And I just want to know, how would you have endured certain areas of Black America? How would you have it endured the Negro era, the colored era, the African-American era? How would you have endured it? And we don't talk about that a lot. What's up, Dolores? What's up, Dolores? Hey there, Robert. How you doing? Justin, what it doing? Carissa, what's up? What's up? What's up? Cornelius over there on YouTube. I see you, fam bam. I see you, fam bam. Hey, so how would you have navigated that? How would you have endured? You know, and we're going to talk about that. Yes, Lavelle, we all say we blackity black and we down with it, but are you really down? And I think when we think about it like that, we can sit back and we can wonder what is going on. All right. So we wait for Thais to get back up in the building and go make it happen. Yeah, you heard it right. Thais is the co-host. Thais is the co-host on tonight, and Thais is going to be here with me making this happen, making this pop. So listen, once Thais gets back in that green room, we're going to jump it off. So ain't no Dana drop on tonight. My boy Dana is doing homework and he's making it happen and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's get into tonight's conversation. All right, get into it. We're going to dive in. We're going to dig. Welcome back to the Dontá Show. Tonight's co-host, Thais Jackson.
Okay, that was a lot. I was rushing. I was like, "Oh my God!" But I'm here. I'm here. That was like I did a Wonder Woman. I had to, right?
Did. So okay. Just so y'all know, literally, I asked Thais at like 7:35, 7:40, hey, can you jump on the co-host tonight? And I don't know what kind of spin happened up in that living room.
Because everything was shut down, the lights, everything. I had to put the lights back up. I have, I'm here though. I love you. That's why I'm here.
I appreciate it so much. I appreciate it. Thais, I'm gonna let you kick it off though. Give us some hot topics real quick for like the next 3 or 4 minutes. I know Tiger Woods is the big buzz, but is that a big buzz for the Thai squad?
No, it's not. It's really not. And that doesn't make you less of a Christian. It don't mean you're heartless. It don't mean any of that. But remember, Tiger Woods was talking about he was Campbell-Asian or whatever name he had made up. And It was like, he never really attached himself to blackness. So there's a segment of Black America that, okay, he didn't rock with us. So we wish you well. We wish you a speedy recovery.
Prayers going up.
But we're not fit to be sitting up here doing, Shirley Caesar monologues for you, We're just not. I'm sorry. And we wish you well.
This is Tiger's second accident. He had another accident 2 years ago when he fell asleep behind the wheel or something and crashed into a tree because he was on prescription drugs. And if anybody knows the area that Tiger was driving through, it is winding road coming down by the Del Amo Mall. Now, he was up in Rancho Palos Verdes, but to get up there, you go through some winding roads. And I don't know if he was speeding. I don't know what was going on. But for him to flip that Hyundai Genesis all over the ravine. Now, I wonder if that's going to do, if sales are going to go up or go down for Hyundai.
Listen, I've already said it, whether it's a fancy car or whether it was just your regular car. There's something about celebrities and cars. They get real heavy foot with the acceleration. I don't know what it is. And whether it be Kevin Hart, whether it be, even Tracy Morgan after he survived a crash, had another crash, so there's something about celebrities and cars. You remember the guy from Moesha, Hakeem, he died in a crash. So it's like, y'all got to really, get you some drivers or get you a Uber or a Lyft.
Right.
You rich.
You rich.
Why are you driving?
You rich. And then I want to revisit something else you brought up on your show yesterday. Before we get into this whole Black experience, I'm giving folks time to get up in here. So Thai squad, get other squatters up in here. Village, other villages up in here. We're giving y'all time to share this, get folks out. We're going to really dive deep into the Black experience. Hey, Jahan, welcome to the Dontá Show. Exactly, Tasha. They always rushing to go nowhere. They ain't got nowhere to go. But yesterday you talked about the divorce rate within black Hollywood, and then you said, Kim Kardashian and sparked the movement.
Baby.
But we see these papers get filed left and right. So hit on that for a minute.
There's an old Maybelline Ephraim spirit in the air right now from divorce court because people are divorcing. Exhibit wife just filed for divorce. Talib, let me see if I can pronounce his name correctly. Talib Kweli, his wife just filed for. She just filed for divorce, and of course Kim and Kanye. But I think a lot of times what's going on is that people have survived Corona. Dante, they have survived Corona, and they're saying, "Look, girl, I ain't got time for no more. I have to live my life. I have overcome one of the worst plagues in recent memory, and honey, I don't have time. Let me move on with my life. I can do better. I don't have to take this." That's what I believe is going on.
I mean,
people are just over it.
And that's the common person, celebrity, whatever. Folks, if you've been, I don't want to say trapped, but if you've been with somebody for a year, because we're going on a year since we've been on lockdown, and you start to see who that person really is when you really hit the hard times. The Bible say for better or for worse, and that for worse came and for worse stayed for 12 months. And a lot of folks, they can't deal with it. They can't deal with it. But it's something to see Dr. Dre is dating in the midst of going through this divorce. So
he didn't wait around, didn't he?
He did not.
Okay.
Dr. Dre is dating, and it's a rumor about that, and that's kind of comical. But I just think it's really it's a lot of stuff is being exposed, in the midst of a pandemic that's really something. So Thais, you ready for this topic on tonight?
Yes, yes.
All right. So tonight's topic, y'all, is the Black experience. And like I did talking about, hey, Sean, welcome. And like I talked about before the show started, a lot of Black people walk around with their chest, puffed out. I wouldn't have been no slave. I couldn't have did this. I would have just ran and all that kind of stuff. But it's easy to say what you would have done when you're in the level of privilege, despite how you may think we're not privileged, compared to our ancestors. Black Americans are living in a level of privilege that we really don't realize. Hey, Tashi, how you doing? Hey, Tashi. Yeah, he healed from the aneurysm, Tashi. Dre healed from the aneurysm. He all right. He all right.
Real quick.
Yeah, real quick. So Thais, when you think about the Black experience going back to slavery, here's my question. Hold on. Let me pull up my notes. I'm going to ask you this. How would you, the Thais Jackson that you know, how would you have survived slavery? And Thai Squad and Village, type in the comments, how would you have survived slavery back in the 1800s, 1700s? How would you have survived it?
Okay, I have a 21st century mindset now. So it's like, it's easy to put together any type of scenario in your mind that you would have been, Nat Turner or, Venmark Vesey, all that. You could have been all of that.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is there was a seasoning process. It was called seasoning. Mm-hmm. There was a seasoning process for slaves. And it was to get you to do what they wanted you to do. It was to condition your mind to be a slave. And then on top of that, you had the perversion of the Bible, and the slave master was, landing on people and getting you to think that you are not going through anything, and if you were, you would get your, just reward, desserts, right, when you got over to the other side, So, me personally, the person I know right now, there would have been a problem. But had I came from the shores of Africa, I probably would have done what my ancestors did, and that's, you have to just do what you have to do to stay alive. Period.
And I'm looking at Dolores said, I wouldn't have this mouth I have. Well, Dolores, that's right. They'd have silenced that mouth. Oh,
Thais today, they would have wore me out. Thais today, I would have been gone the first day.
And I think about that because, so asking everybody that's watching, would you have run away or would you have just stayed? Because when we think about that whole runaway mentality, it's like, where am I running away to? And we hear about the freedom land, the promised land. I'm running up north, but I don't know which way north is. I don't know how far north is. I don't know what I got to go through to get to the north. So would you have been a runaway slave, Thais, or would you have just stayed and made the best of a bad situation?
It's hard to say because, a lot of times what people don't understand, there were some places in the North that was just as bad as in the South. And, the reason we know our sister Harriet was divinely guided and divinely appointed was because there's no way a woman her size with the elements out there in the dark of night, no GPS, no lighting, did what she did. It had to be from God. So my thing is this. You probably had a lot of people that in church meetings or, after the sun went down, probably thought about like, let's get out of here.
Right.
But when you weigh the slave catcher, the slave patrols, it was probably enough for them to do a second thought, Dante. Like, you know what? Let's just keep on pressing on. Because if they catch you, they're going to either kill you, you know what I'm saying? Beat you halfway to death, rape you, malign you. So a lot of people were probably terrorized into submission, into staying where they were at.
And I appreciate what Cornelius just said on YouTube. Cornelius said survival mode. Many born into slavery thought it was the norm. You know, so if you're born into this system that's already oppressive, you're being taught to do this or get beat, do this or get, you know, whatever. You think that's the norm. You don't think anything is wrong with it. You just need to be obedient. You know, and that mentality, we still see that today. We think that's just how it is. So we gotta just deal with it. But it takes someone to come in and be bold with the mouth that I see all up and down this thread. It's a lot of mouthy folks up on here.
Baby.
Say, yo, listen, we need to come together. We need to bind together. We need to unify. We gotta do something because us getting beat is not right. And those of you that think it is right, we finna beat you down. You know, so you know, I think we got to look at that. So speaking of YouTube, please make sure to follow the Dontá Show on YouTube. Subscribe to the Dontá Show on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Dontá Morrison. Click that subscribe button. It is absolutely free. It will cost you nothing but a push of the finger. What else are you using your finger for? Use the finger. Oh. Use the finger and go ahead and poke the Dontá Show. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. All right. So, I mean, Thais, and I like how you talked about that conditioning. Because you gotta remember, they didn't steal slaves, they stole free people. They stole free people and had to put that slave submission mentality into them. They had to beat them into submission. You know, when I think about that, I think about the movie The Color Purple. You know, when Celie told Harpo to what? Beat her. Beat her into submission. If your wife is too strong-willed, if she want to do her own thing, beat her into submission. And that is coming from that slavery mentality. If you want somebody to do what you want them to do, you got to beat them to make it do them. You know, because Celie was beaten. Mr. beat her, so automatically, well, this is normal. Okay. Right. A lot of people thought, well, did Mr. tell her to say that? No. That was normal to her, and because that was normal to her, she passed it along to Harpo. Harpo. Who did she pass that along to? She passed that on to and that is generational. And then we see that same cycle repeat even today. Even today, where some men believe unless they have dominion over their wife, over their children, then they're not the head of the house. The head of the house does not mean beating and barking and being aggressive to everybody under the roof. That's not head of the house mentality. But when you don't know how to do it the proper way, that's what we get. All right. So basically, everybody on the thread, some people are saying, Tashi said, I only got 3 good steps in me, so I would not run anywhere. Tashi, know your strengths, sis. Know your strengths. I would take my ass in the master's house and become the in-house Negro and pray for better days. That's right. Put on the Andrew Johnson and pray for better days. With these knees I have now, I probably would have made it to Vermont. Maybe Normandy. Possibly Normandy. I was like, y'all, I'm going back. I'm going back, y'all. Y'all got this. Y'all got it. Y'all go ahead. Here, take my biscuit. Y'all gonna need it. Go ahead. Y'all go on. That's real talk. That's real talk. But so the first topic we talked about was slavery. We're gonna do a Black History timeline. Slavery was our first one. So we just covered the topic, and the question was, what kind of slave would you have been? You know, now we all know right now in our privilege, we gonna say, oh, I would have ran, ain't nobody beating on me. I would have caught the whip and beat them back. But we got to put ourselves in that time and in that season. How would you have been? Would you have been a runner, or would you have just stayed on the plantation and, like Tashi said, prayed for better days? Right, buck breaking. Oh, Cornelius, I know about buck breaking. I know all about that. Buck breaking was a big thing. Yes, it was. Emasculate and all that kind of stuff. We went through a lot of stuff as Black people, and that's why sometimes when I'm on Instagram and looking at stuff, I'm like, God, what all we went through, all we overcame, this is what we doing, this is what we gonna show. But that's another topic for another day. So let's get to the civil rights era, Thais. Okay. Civil rights era. Here we go. So civil rights era, this was the era of change. This was the era of, we tired of this. We ain't taking it no more. Thais, would you be a marcher, or would you be the one at home packing lunches for them that's going to go out and march? I think that everybody played a integral part.
And I don't think one person was less effective. I believe because it was such a cohesive movement, everybody got in there and did something. But I know you said, Thais, that's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you. But you know what? It's a lot. Water hoses, dogs. That takes a tenacity and a spirit that you just don't see it a lot today. You really don't. You see it. Let me correct that. You see it with what's going on with our police brutality, but you don't see people just running up on dogs and just volunteering to be water holes like that. It's like that takes a whole special type of spirit and tenacity. We got people out there that are marching right now for Breonna Taylor, for Ahmaud Arbery, but the water hoses, the dogs. There was a bus with Freedom Riders on it. They tried to set the bus on fire and then lock the doors so the people could burn up in the bus. It takes a lot to deal with that. So I think, Dontá, I would be the, potato salad, sandwiches, chicken, frying the chicken. I can fry some lean chicken. There were no Albertsons back then. So, I would fry it, macaroni salad.
Because I think about, like you just said, some of those instances, I always think about that Woolworth lunch counter. And when I think about them sitting at that Woolworth lunch counter and being spat on, I mean, spitting on someone is the epitome of just, I think, spitting on and slapping. If you punch me, okay, we good. But if you slap me, that's a whole different fight. If you spit on me, that's a different issue. So I think about them going to that Woolworth lunch counter and they sitting down just to eat a meal. They got spat on, they got beat, they got drugged, they got slapped, all that kind of stuff, just so others behind them have the ability to live in a desegregated society. So I think about the kids that went to Central High School. The ones that finally went to Central High School and helped desegregate, down in Little Rock. They did that, and the stuff they went through. And I think those movements, and we talked about it yesterday, how Dana was saying, we don't really share a lot of our history. We don't pass stories down. Like he said, Hidden Figures. Why did he learn about that when he was older? And I said I'm not gonna blame the white man totally. I'm blaming us for a lot of stuff because we're not sharing our stories enough. We're not talking about this stuff enough. And I hear people say, well, I'm sick of hearing about that kind of stuff. Well, how else is our narrative going to pass on? Because we can't keep letting Hollywood do it. Because Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra was enough. So tight. Go ahead.
But I remember when we were younger, and this is no shade to our mothers, no shade to mama. You love your mama, Dontá. I know you love your mama. I love my mama. But there was this man that used to come out with encyclopedias, and we got up to maybe C. Mama would buy A, B. We never got the whole set of encyclopedias, But
that World Book Encyclopedia.
Yeah, but she never got all the encyclopedias. We got up to maybe D, But I think it is the school system at home. It is a lot of moving parts with regards to the reason why the kids today are not as knowledgeable in Black history as they are. They're really not. These kids, they are really, you ask them stuff, general stuff, and they're like, huh? Who is that? What is that about? I was a victim of the public school system coming up. I didn't learn about most African American history until I got to City College as an adult and took African American studies. It was like I was learning about people that I'm 30 years old, 29 years old, didn't even have a clue who these people were. And that was sad because it was a complete failure on the public school system because they didn't teach us any of that. We knew about Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, and Rosa Parks, and that was it.
That was it. That was it.
That was it.
Said that yesterday, Black history is more than slavery.
It is.
It's way more than slavery. We contributed way more than just picking cotton. But like you said, it's really a part of just having the time to sit down and listen to the story. You know, like I shared before, my great grandmother will be 100 this year, you know, and she is still in her right mind, and she still can recite all the way back to her great grandmother. So sitting and talking to her, that's history right there. You know, but so often we silence our elders. You know, we don't let our kids, you know, well, go sit with Big Mama and let her talk to you. You know, go sit with your grandmama. I'm sure growing up, you know, some of my cousins are on here. We slept on pallets on the floor, you know, 5 and 6 deep.
Yes, we did.
You know, and we all got NyQuil, you know, at a certain time, so we can all pass out together, you know, and it's just like we had those experiences growing up where it pulled us together. We sitting with our elders, our grandparents, and learning from them. Does those kind of things still happen? Do we still have the grandmothers of yesteryear? You know,
well, you know, the grandmamas now are like, you know, they dropping it like it's hot. They, you know, a lot of grandmothers, they feel like, you know, I done raised my kids. I ain't gonna raise them old kids. And, you know,
right.
You know, a lot of grandmothers I know in my neighborhood, I see grandmothers giving their grandkids money, like $5, $10, you know, handing them little trinkets. Like, that's the grandmother of today, just handing them money and sending them out to the store, the ice cream truck. But, you know, it's a generational thing. I think this generation is a lot different from our generation. I'm 45, Dante. It's a lot different.
It is. And Tasha just said it because Big Mama is 25 now, right? Big Mama 25 years old. That's Big Mama. That's Big Mama. And I saw a meme one time, and it was so funny because it was so true. It was like, I never saw my grandma make tacos. And it's like, that's where I thought about it. Like, my grandma, my great granny.
No, my grandma made butter beans.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly. My great grandma made skillet cornbread. You know, you cook the cornbread in that skillet, you know, and you was full. You know, full. It was never fast food in my great grandma's house ever. She was always cooking something, and it was always a lot.
And the top of the bread will get a little burnt because she was on the phone gossiping with her church friends, and the top of the bread would just be a little burnt, and she'd take that butter knife and just shave the top part off. So y'all better eat this cornbread.
Right. And there wasn't no options to what you eat. There wasn't no options. No. It wasn't. I mean, I hear parents and grandparents now. Well, I got to make mac and cheese for this one. I got to make this one for this one. I was like, all these options. I've been eating since I was 5. I've been eating lima beans since I was 5. You know, black eyed peas since I was 5. You know, some stuff I've been eating my whole life, and I'm seeing little kids now like, I don't want to eat that. I don't eat that. I never had a choice.
You went to bed hungry. You'll be going to bed hungry. Your stomach will be talking to you all night.
Right. And there's a lot of folks now. I know it's a lot of folks now that I see don't know how to stretch food either. One thing I learned from my grandmama and my great granny was how to stretch a meal. And I mean stretch. She cooked on Sunday. That's it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This new generation of people, this new generation is not cut from that cloth. We know that. They're not cut from this cloth. Because like you can be in line behind somebody at the grocery store, the younger generation, and they'll have like 5 items, 6 items, and the lady be like 175, 32. And I'm like, girl, what did you buy? Like, they don't know how to shop. They don't know how to, you know, it's like my mother taught me how to make a bag of potatoes work for you. Listen, 1 bag of potatoes, you can smother the hell out of some potatoes. 1 onion is all you need. If you don't have 1 onion, a half an onion will do, you know? And
potato, onion, salt, and pepper, you good.
You good. Chicken, fried chicken, you know, you can fry it, boil it, bake it. Chicken is a staple, you know? Beans.
Chili beans. You get them beans.
Beans.
Right, period.
Hey, what are you making with it? Nothing. Beans. You gotta go and get a bowl.
Right.
Ain't no meat with it. Ain't no roast with it. Did you buy a roast?
Right. Beans. We having beans.
Beans. But that era, the civil rights era, I mean, it's like night and day now. Dante, right. It's like night and day. It's like night and day.
I like
a lot of those grandmothers have gone on.
Yeah, they're gone. Kaven just said, I didn't know what gluten-free was till I was 30. Right. When I heard gluten free, I was like, what is gluten free? And I got gluten out. I no gluten, no MSG, no this, no that. Where did y'all get all these allergies from?
I
All
don't
these
know.
food allergies, but I think it's the way they, do the food now. I mean, I met people that literally said, I don't eat leftovers. You would not have survived in my family. If you don't eat leftovers, you eating on Sunday, and you're going to starve from Monday to Thursday because we don't eat nothing new again till Fish Friday.
I think it's just the Instagram era. And, like I say, Instagram is just, everybody is fabulous. Nobody has a backstory. Nobody came from nowhere. Everybody was just born fabulous. And it's like, I don't drink Tampico Punch. You drunk it as a child.
And Tang.
Shasta.
Tang. Right.
Tang,
Right.
Unbelievable. Springfield. We thought Springfield was a national brand. Like a name brand, Springfield and Shasta.
That Tiki Punch.
That was Tiki Punch.
And Black Cherry.
Cherry.
Let's get into the 70s, Thais. The 70s. Here we go.
Okay.
So we all know the 70s, that was our righteous era. That was afros, that was fists up, that was the Panther Party. A lot of stuff happened in the 70s where the Black community really started evolving and we started getting more radical. We had our militias and we had stuff jumping off. We had disco, that kicked in. So the 70s was a time when there was a serious shift, So, Thais, let's talk about the 70s. What's up with the 70s?
Well, between Aretha and Isaac Hayes and James Brown, there was a level of, Africana, just a consciousness that was just permeating through our communities nationwide. And that doesn't mean that we didn't have issues in our community, but there was a level of Black pride and Black respect that was visible, that was palpable from what I have, been told and what I've researched. But, the FBI, the CIA, when they feel that there is an awakening, or if they feel that there's going to be some type of uprising or cohesiveness amongst us, then that has to be neutralized. And that's what they did, because they systematically dismantled the Black Panthers.
Right.
They murdered Brother Malcolm. Right. And, it blows your mind when you think about what could have been. And then after that era, then they introduced the crack cocaine, and things were never the same after that. So they systematically dismantled everything that was Black and beautiful and knowledgeable about our community. The FBI, the CIA.
I agree. I think the 60s and 70s were some of the most powerful eras for Black Americans. We took a lot of power back. Our voice was loud. We were unified. You knew who Black folks were. In the 70s. I love the look of the 70s. I love the afros.
Oh, yes.
I love the cornrows. I love the platforms. I love the leather jackets. I love the 70s. I was born in 1972. So, of course, I have little glimpses of the 70s here and there. But when I look historically and look at like 70s films, 70s music, it was a different vibe. It was a different energy. All folks did was smoke a little weed. They smoked marijuana, and that was it. They drink their silver satin, and they don't bother nobody. But like you said, once the government realized, they're getting too strong, they're coming together, there's a cohesion happening, we got to interrupt this. We got to interrupt this with something different. And like you said, in comes crack. And Whitney said it best, crack is whack. So we go from the 70s and we evolve into the 80s. The 80s was colorful.
Yes.
The 80s was vibrant. The 80s brought us the Jerry curl.
And a lot of technological advances, Dante, with TVs and CD players, and people was really coming up in the 80s. I remember my middle brother, there were these big boom boxes that everybody had to have. And they were just they were huge, but there were a lot of technological advances. Even the floor model TVs were kind of phasing out and different TVs were coming in. But the 80s were a colorful time. But then again, you have to look at it. It entered in Ronald Reagan and Reaganomics.
Right.
You know, and just say no to drugs, and y'all are responsible for the drugs.
Right.
So
exactly.
it's crazy.
Exactly, exactly. And DeQuincy just posted something. DeQuincy said, have you heard anything about the letter about the conspiracy to kill Malcolm? DeQuincy, I believe you're referring to the deathbed confessional that the FBI agent made, talking about a police officer talking about how the FBI told them to make sure that all of Malcolm X's bodyguards were arrested a few days before he made his final speech, so he would have no support. You know, so that they can get into the Audubon and do what they had to do. So yes, I heard about it. I haven't done a deep dive into it yet. Thais, do you know more about it?
Yeah, well, you know, the thing about it, Malcolm X was a part of that, you know, with the FBI and the CIA, the Black Messiah. They did not want a Black Messiah rising to prominence. After King was assassinated, they definitely wanted to neutralize Brother Malcolm, because if they figured that if they knocked both of them out together, they had a great chance of bringing Black people back under control and bringing this thing in, because Malcolm X was on some really deep stuff just before he died. Right. After he got back from Mecca, he was really, he had met some people and was really talking over some really, you know, some really powerful stuff. But the thing about New York City and the NYPD, there's no confidence that the current district attorney is going to do anything about these new findings. So New York City residents are saying that they're hoping that if there's a new DA that can come in and take a look at it, because you know, it's a good old boy network in New York City right now.
Right. And the thing about it is no surprise to any of us.
No.
We're not surprised. We're not shocked. So none of us are going, oh my God, are you serious? The FBI did that? We're not surprised. We've been hearing about all these conspiracy theories our whole life. So we always knew it was something underneath all of this that just, you know, did not make sense. You know, but you know what, with all of these findings, you remember there was this big thing about did Farrakhan have something to do with it? And then one of Malcolm X's daughters, did like an assassination plot attempt on Farrakhan. So now we know, you know, there's a great chance that Farrakhan may not have been involved. And if he was involved, maybe it was behind the scenes. I don't know. But I don't want, allegedly. All I'm saying is this. I hope that there is some type of justice for Brother Malcolm, because we know that when it comes to Black bodies in America, we rarely get the justice that we need, Dante. Right. But they killed Martin. The United States did it. It's documented. They killed Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
You know, Sam Cooke was a very powerful Black man that many don't even know Sam Cooke's story. You know, Sam Cooke was the Clive Davis. You know, he was old and about to just take over, and they got rid of him. You know, Tasha said 80s was the blind side season. While we were out being colorful, they were saturating our communities with crack, jailing our fathers, removing our children from homes and the foster care. We're still trying to recover from the 80s.
We are.
Because crack is still running amok all throughout. You know, our men are still in jail, wrongfully convicted, you know, and in jail. You know, the whole foster care system is just that within itself, you know, is just, I mean, so let's get into the 80s. So we talked about, you know, Reaganomics. 80s introduced us to GRID, our gay-related infectious disease, otherwise known as AIDS. You know, the 80s brought that. You know, the 80s also killed off disco, brought in a new sound. But the 80s also brought us Michael Jackson's Thriller album.
Yes, it did.
You know, and the 80s brought us Prince's 1999 and Controversy. You know, the 80s brought us Lionel Richie All Night Long. You know, the 80s had some stuff going on that made us get out and start dancing and partying and being like, okay, we got this. You know, anything else in the 80s, Thais, positive that you can think of?
227. You know, Amen. The Jeffersons. You know, I enjoy 80s TV a lot, Dante. 80s TV was probably the best TV that I can remember. I didn't like what's happening now. I like the original what's happening, but
Right.
80s TV was the T, and 80s music. You know, there was a definite sound in the 80s, especially with R&B. Yeah,
I agree.
I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the Claudine Crooklyn feeling that me and my mother and my brothers had. Like, there was a feeling like the first of the month, everybody would get dressed up and go downtown. Broadway was like a big thing downtown. Like, a lot of people don't remember when Broadway was like a big thing, going downtown to the Cooper Building and Grand Central Market. You know, it was really a beautiful time. With all that we went through with crack and when HIV/AIDS epidemic, there was a lot of nice, beautiful times in between there too, I must say.
Right. I agree. So how did the 80s change your life? Did the 80s shape you in any kind of way? Because we were both teenagers in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. I remember, you know, as a same gender loving young boy, you know, in Pasadena growing up, I think the 80s, the music did not help me through these relationship issues I had. Like, every R&B diva just wore me completely out in the 80s. That's what my life was. Just like, these women are singing about what I'm going through, and I'm only 13.
But Anita Baker and Shirley Murdoch knew your life.
Oh my God, they just wore me out. I needed a scotch at 13, a rum and coke at 13, Dante. But yeah, I remember emotional development at its peak in my mind, my spirit as a young boy, figuring out who I am in the 80s. And there was a soundtrack to it. I know a lot of people say, well, my soundtrack was the 70s, my soundtrack was the 60s. My soundtrack was the 80s. It really was. Especially a woman by the name of Karen White. I don't know if she's watching tonight, but Karen, your album, Karen White, your album, 1988, 89,
Love Song,
changed my life. Yeah.
Secret Rendezvous.
Oh yeah. All of that. I'm gonna play it after I get off here now. I gotta play it tonight, you know.
I was thinking it was more Shirley Murdoch, you know, as we lay.
I love Shirley. Shirley was 84, 85. I love Shirley, but Karen White and Anita Baker giving you the best that I got albums. Man, soundtrack of my life.
All right, so hey y'all, so Dana's in the green room. We're gonna pull Dana in to help us cover the 90s, the 2000s, and take the show on out. Dana, come on up in here, man. Hurry up.
Yo, what's happening? I am here, ladies.
Dana, don't come with all that. You late.
Hey, you know what? Check this.
About the 90s.
Hey,
how the 90s your life?
Hey, the 90s was the best year. What's up, Quan? What's up, Kwame? What's up, Thais? How's everybody feeling? Thais, give me a sip real quick. Give me a sip.
This is you want
give me a sip right now. Give me a sip.
Alkaline water.
Okay, hey, the 90s. I'm sorry I'm late, guys. I had some homework to do with my fellas. Hey, daddy duties come first. Listen, I'm hyped right now. You know what I mean? So, there it is.
Right now. Real Timmy.
Come on. Hey, yo, but the 90s, yo, oh my God. The 90s was the shiznit. I mean, they gave us Jodeci. They gave us
but we're about music.
I'm talking about the music of the 90s. You could go to the TV shows. You could go to the political stuff. I'm talking about music. The 90s will be played forever. The 90s and the 70s could be played forever.
The 90s for me were all about movies. The 90s movies where you cannot, like Jones, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, Soul Food. It was like, I don't know what was going on in the 90s. Menace to Society. You know, like what was going on? Yeah, well, I think was the Boys in the Hood?
Yeah. I saw it on the military.
Yeah, it's like something about the movies of the 90s were just like, man.
Yeah.
I think the political era of the 90s, we had Bill Clinton. You know, Bill Clinton was the first black president.
Exactly.
So I think the political. We were also at war in the 90s. That's when
Creole.
the
He's
Iraq
Creole.
War started. That's when Desert Storm started in the 90s. A lot of stuff happened in the 90s that I think created other shifts on other platforms. That's when Magic Johnson came on and said he has HIV. Eazy-E died of AIDS. So the AIDS conversation, it really hit the Black community. Because we had ignored it all through the 80s, or at least the overall Black community. The Black gay community was well aware, but I think the 90s introduced a lot of stuff to the Black community that we have to take seriously. It's like, okay, we got to really sit back now and start watching this, because we have marched through the civil rights era.
Right.
A lot of us, they overcame crack addictions. They fought that. We now pushing back against all this other stuff. But then we also got to remember Rodney King. So Rodney King first started the power of the video.
Right.
So the power of getting that stuff on video, you cannot dispute it, but then also showing that regardless of what we are shown and what we are seeing with our own eyes, it still will not convict.
Yeah.
Right. That was the first time that we saw something, actual footage, beat this man for filth, beat him down just for speeding in a Hyundai, and they were all acquitted. So it's like, even then, I know the new generation, the millennials and Generation Z, they like, oh my God, this is terrible. Our generation is like, hey, we used to this.
Right,
we
right.
did this for decades, and we talk about, well, now stuff's being videotaped and now stuff is going viral. The Rodney King videotape, I bought it at the car wash. I bought that meeting at the car wash because it circulated. I'm like, let me see what they're talking about. So I think for the 90s, that's when we really got to see police injustice firsthand and then show how nothing happened.
Right.
And when NWA released a song about it, F the police, it just messed everything up. So I think the 90s introduced us to the power of the video and the proof that no matter what happens, the Black community will still not get the justice they deserve.
Exactly.
That's what the 90s did for me.
Yes. You preaching tonight, Dontá?
Yeah, you pass the plate.
Yeah. Pass the baskets.
Because
Right.
I've been listening. I just couldn't.
Also, the 90s were a really powerful time with liquor stores and their foods and what they offered in the liquor stores. A lot of people don't remember you used to get a scoop of chili on top of your Fritos.
Right.
Nacho, you couldn't pay me to eat it there now, but back then, they had an old chili brick and they melted that chili brick down, and nachos and Is
that some West Coast stuff?
A Dolores chili brick?
Yeah, Dolores chili brick.
You better get that Dolores, add a little water and stir it.
But and break that girl down. Yeah.
right. He don't know, Thais. He don't know.
That was some West Coast stuff.
No, at the liquor store, there was a chili. There was a whole kitchen process behind the counter.
I remember you could get a sandwich and a sub from a liquor store. Yeah, you could get that.
You can get whatever you want, but you could get some hateful chili Fritos, chili nachos. They had pig feet, pickles, jumbo pickles.
And some people say the best sandwich had a fly on it. That was the best one.
I don't know about that.
So let's get to the new millennium. So 2000s and up. So we started the show off with slavery. I asked everybody, how would you exist as a slave? Not with your mindset you got right now, because we learned that the village and the Thai squad got mouth. We got mouth, we got clap back. You ain't beating me, you ain't this. How would you survive? We went to the civil rights era. Would you be one of the ones out there marching? Are you making potato salad and packing lunches for the marchers? Which one are you doing? We went to the 70s. Hey, pick your Afro daddy. Get your cornrows, mama. Throw that fist up in the air. It's all about Black pride, Black power. Then we got to the 80s where we saw a shift. That's when that shift came. That's when crack hit the Black community. We started seeing an increase in the foster care system. Our Black men were going to jail at alarming rates. Then we hit the 90s, the intro of that videotape, Rodney King, the beating, and all kind of stuff. So now here we are in the new millennium. 2000 party over, oops, out of time. So Thais, you go first. Dana, you go next. What did the new millennium do for the Black community?
I think for the Black community in the new millennium, we have no choice. But we had no choice after Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, all of these people back to back. We had no choice but to do what we did, and that was, start a whole new uprising all over again. It was organic, and now some people say there's a little corporate ties in there now, but back when it originally started, Black Lives Matter. After Trayvon Martin, people said, "Oh hell no." When your child can't go and get some Skittles and come home, and no, something's wrong. We got to really take to the streets, and we got to let people know what's going on out here. So the new millennium was an awakening for a lot of people, because a lot of people were kind of like lackadaisical about it. They really were.
Mm-hmm. I agree, Dana.
I agree with what Thais is saying. When you see these things like that, you kind of, Trayvon, all of these people could have been our family members. It could have been our sons. It could have been our uncles, fathers, things like, and we have to talk about the women too. It could have been our mothers, sisters, and aunties and stuff like that too. I just think that, again, with the introduction of social media and cameras and things like that, you would think that would help in the justice system when you blatantly see somebody doing something. You would think that would help, but it's really not. And for the Black community, I think we just have to come together and stand together, because it starts with us. It starts with us, educating ourselves on what to do and what not to do when we get in these situations with police and stuff. Some things we just can't handle. But then, like you said, we only see certain amounts of it. We don't know what build up to it. We don't know what's going through the heads of them or whatever. It could have been somebody popped off or whatever, but that still doesn't give you the right to shoot a man in his back when he's walking away from you, or keep your knee on a man's neck when he's telling you he can't breathe. Or if you're not even a police officer and somebody's walking home and you take it in your own mind and your own right to shoot him because you think he's this stuff like that is just horrible. So I see a little change, but I think we have a long way to go.
I think I think Tasha said it best. We need to see more discipline.
Yeah.
There's a discipline in our actions. There's not a discipline, and there's not a continuity. So I think a lot of times we lack the continuity needed. And I know that it's fatigue. We're tired. We are tired. It's only so long that we're gonna march for our knees buckle, but we get behind.
Can I say this, Dontá? Because today there was the announcement out of Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
That 7 police officers will not be charged. The grand jury found a no true bill on 7 police officers. The young man's name was David Perdue.
Yep.
And they basically beat him, choked him to death in the rain. And I don't know what's going on in upstate New York right now. Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, but Governor Cuomo really needs to, send some people out to do some investigations, because that area is just really like a firewall right now.
Yeah,
of just
you're right.
Police brutality. It's sad.
And then the thing is, are Black people powerless in America?
I think to some degree, yes.
Well, yeah, we are.
To some degree, yes.
Village, Thai Squad, what do y'all think? Are Black people powerless in America? We welcome your comments. We know it's a delay. You might see this in 5 seconds, but are Black people powerless in America? You think about the word powerless. That means that means everything we're doing is just futile. We just banging our heads against the wall. So are we powerless in America? What do you guys say? Sherman Walker says, not since this election. Okay, not since this election. Okay, I can respect that. To an extent, yes. Latrice said, to an extent, yes. Yes, we are powerless, and that's on a whole lot of different fronts, because we always talk about we got to come together. We'll come together and do what?
Right, exactly.
What are we coming together to do? Kevin says, I think that we have power. DeQuincy says yes and no. Because it's like we hear the words unity all the time, collaborate all the time. We even hear village all the time. But what does that mean to come together? What are we coming together to do? And we go back to slavery. Now, some of y'all said during the slavery days, we should have banded together and we should have just stormed the plantation and took over the South and all kind of stuff. Okay, well, we did. You know, civil rights era, you know, we should have burned down Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, you know, just Tuscaloosa, all that. Should have just took it over. Okay, yeah, but we didn't. You know, 80s, 90s, you know, whatever. You know, Tasha said we're not powerless. We're confused about what to do with our power. Okay, I will co-sign with that. I think we don't know how to place the power because we never had to really use our power. You know, we've used our anger, we've used our frustration, you know, we've used our emotions, but when it comes to using our power, we need to identify what that power is. What is the power that Black people have? What is the power?
Financial. We do have the financial power, but we're not built like that. We're not disciplined enough to utilize it. Like in the Montgomery bus boycott, they didn't ride the bus for a whole year, Dante.
Right.
I just don't think we're built for that type of action right now. Like, you know, to do something for a whole year. Like if you tell people you can't even get 25 people to come to Bible study on Wednesday night.
Listen,
or you couldn't get Black people to boycott the NFL.
Yeah, it's hard nowadays. It's hard nowadays. And the reason that is because I think a lot of people see our accomplishments and where we have come from as everything is over with, you know. So if you have a nice house and a nice car and a decent job, to you, that's like, what's the problem? But people are still dying in the streets, though. That's what people don't understand. And people are still
by that privilege. We're blinded by that privilege. And that's what I said at the top of the show. We think about slavery. We think about what we would have done on the plantation because we're thinking from a mindset of privilege. And regardless of what your socioeconomic status is right now, you are not a slave on a plantation getting beat for not picking cotton. You know, period. So we do have a level of privilege. And like Ty and Dana both just said, what we are seeing, the Black success, it makes others say, okay, well, they doing all right. That's just one dead body. You look at Beyonce and Jay-Z, they're billionaires. Look at the Black girl, Oprah. Look at the Black man, Tyler Perry dude. They got money. The Black community is just fine. Let Oprah and Tyler invest in their own community.
Yeah, let them girls invest in their own community.
Let them do it. You know, so it's like when you look at it from that perspective, and it's like, well, then we're fine. But the core, the root of it is, and I remember somebody told me this. We heard about Martin Luther King Jr., but Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't really messed with in the West. West Coast Blacks wasn't thinking about all the stuff them down South Negroes was dealing with because West Coast Blacks, they can hop on the bus. Wasn't no segregation. So they're like, well, dang, that's terrible what's going on down in Louisiana. They can't eat at the lunch counter. They got to use separate washrooms and whatnot because on the West, it was totally different. So Martin Luther King was famous in the South. It wasn't until after he died that the nation began to recognize, oh, dude was really making change. He was really doing something. So I think depending on, I don't want to say the kind of Black you are, you know, depending on your lifestyle, you're going to look at the Black struggle totally different.
Yeah.
You know, it is somebody down South right now that is probably sneaking to watch this show on you know, and do what they got to do, because they're not supposed to be doing it, you know. So we got to look at that. And I think that we need to figure out a way to make sure that the Blacks that have are somewhat helping and speaking for the Blacks that have not.
Right.
That may not be the beacon of light that everybody wants to shine. But if we're going to be a Black community, that means all Blacks. All Blacks. So if Thais is going to make the chicken and potato salad, we can't knock Thais for doing that. Thank you, because it takes all of us. Because that way, when I get out there in March, I'm not going to be hungry.
Right.
You know? So we need the ones that work in the kitchen. We need the ones that's going to march. Just like when Thais talked about the bus boycott, that went on for a whole year. But that didn't mean everybody walked for a year. That means the community all came together and they shuttled each other. They worked out plans. I got a car. You got 3 people. We can all get in my car and go together. You know, I'm not going to drive by you as you walk. Get in the car, work together as a community because we're all boycotting. But as of late, we have not all boycotted anything.
Right.
You know,
Marcus Garvey have already given us the blueprint for what we need to do. I mean, I just think people, you know, everybody is in their own socioeconomic bubble nowadays, Dante, and people just feel like, you know what, as long as me and my house, we got food and shelter, I'm okay. You know, so until we break out of that and realize what cooperative economics is, because every other race got it. The Jewish people, the Asians, everybody got it. We're the only ones that just, you know, we don't want to do that. Pool resources, you know, support each other in that capacity. We just don't.
Right. So Thais and Shanice, I need y'all to get in the kitchen and y'all start working on some kind of menu plan for our March boycotts. So I don't want no deviled eggs because that messes with my stomach at my age. You know, I don't need no deviled eggs.
I don't like deviled eggs.
So don't do that for people. But you know, and do some baked chicken and have some gluten-free options for the millennials. Because we don't want them.
Listen, let me explain something to all of the people. When I fry chicken, we're not doing no gluten, none of that. We're just frying chicken. And if you want some breast and wings, you need to buy some. If not, it'll be legs and thighs.
A family pack.
Yeah, legs and thighs. Ain't no breast. Did you buy some?
So Thais, tell folks how they can find you on Facebook. Let them know what's up.
I am Thais Jackson on Facebook. I do a video blog every day, the Thais Report Live. I do Thais After Dark Wednesdays and Thursdays, somewhere in there. And you can just find me on Facebook as Thais Jackson. I love coming on with you, Donta and Dana. It's been a pleasure tonight. This is a topic that I really, really love. So it was really a pleasure tonight. Thank y'all for having me. I'm glad I could fill in. I felt like Effie and Dreamgirls, you know. I feel good. I feel good. Okay, so thank y'all for having me.
Thank you so much. Are you gonna go live after this, or are you done for the night?
You know what? I think I'm gonna call it a night. I may stop by and say good night to my followers, but
no Karen White.
I may, you know.
He may, you know, hey, you know he gonna be on. He gonna get a
I may pour me a little glass of wine and do.
Karen White, you know, little Regina Bell, just something.
Yeah, I may pour a glass of wine and do a nightcap. I may.
See, there it is. Legs all over the curtains, wall, pictures, everywhere.
Good night. Somewhere in there. There's a docket in there. Thais, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And if you go live, I'll be right over there with you watching.
All right.
Love you.
Bye.
All right, Thais.
Everybody, it is 9:03. We sorry for going 3 minutes over, but we had a good conversation. So we're going to just wrap it up right here. Dana, give him some closing comments, mate.
Hey, so again, sorry for being late. I had to do daddy duties, but follow me on Instagram at DNA716. You can see what I got going on musically, comedically, whatever. I'm there. Just follow me and be sure to spread love instead of spreading lies. Understand it. Make sure you check on somebody to make sure that they're doing okay. Whether you think they're doing okay or not, a simple hi, a simple text message, letter, card, phone call goes a long way. You never know. You may just save somebody's life. And we love you. Don't you ever forget that.
Real talk. I am Donta Morrison. Please check me out on Instagram, Donta_Morrison. Go on over there. Follow your boy. Follow your boy on the IG. And let's just make some moves. But Village, you know I love you. We thank you. We appreciate y'all. Without y'all, we would have no show. We'd have no followers. We'd be just two dudes talking. So Village, we love y'all more than you realize. All the new ones, just make sure to follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/Donta Morrison. Follow me and Dana. We come live every Monday and Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We thank y'all. All the Thai squad that came on tonight. Hey, thank you for rocking with us on tonight. I see you Latrice, Kevin, Paul, Shanice, I want to get you on my show, Shanice, to do a cooking show live. Shanice, check your calendar. Cooking show live with Shanice. All right, so we appreciate y'all. If you want to be a guest on the Dontá Show, reach out to PyroMediaNetwork.com or just info@PyroMediaNetwork and let them know I want to be a guest on the Dontá Show. All right, we can make that happen. But check out Pyro Media Network and see all the other phenomenal shows. Jaylon Jones launched his show on today, so check out Jaylon Jones on Pyro Media Network and just make it happen, y'all. So we love y'all, we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next Monday night right here, Facebook Live and YouTube at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Peace. God bless. Stay safe. Cover your mouth. Wash your hands. Social distance. Or get vaccinated. Do what you got to do. Till next week, y'all. Take care.